Hey everyone, I haven't done one of these for a while, but today we're going to be looking at the best champions for lower ranks especially. It's basically like if you're trying to get out of silver or gold or below, these are the champions that will be the easiest to do it with and also the quickest. Let's take a look at two of our mid laners to start the video, and ever since Swain's update, he has spiked really hard at lower ranks. He's a perfect example of what this video is all about, especially mid lane actually, rather than other lanes. He's very good early, he scales well with items, and he's very tanky because of those items and also because of his new passive. People just don't buy healing reduction as often in games at lower ranks, so you can kind of avoid that, right? But you can win early, do some good damage, and then run at people later, and there's not much they can do about it. He's a lot easier to play now. You don't have to worry about souls, so at a basic level, you're going to have more success, and he's not too punishing with the extra health and the Zhonya's early, so you can actually carry, but you aren't punished as hard for mistakes. Dinah is another example, but a different one. Like, she's a 1v9 style champion at lower ranks where you survive until 6 and then you nuke everybody down with your combo. You're probably the easiest assassin to play and still one of the highest damage outputs at the same time, at least for the first combo where you completely blow your load. Nashor's is really popular, by the way, but ideally you want to grab a Spellbinder or a Deathcat first for this playstyle. You want to stack AP and really one-shot people all game, and that is what makes her so good at lower ranks. Moving into our jungle, the first one is really solving a big issue at lower ranks especially, which is feeling lost sometimes, like not knowing what to do or ending up not having enough impact. So Vi solves that really well because every time ultimate is up, that is a nudge to go and use it, right? It's a very clear visual indicator of, okay, I gotta go do something. If you do that, you'll at least be active and you'll stand a good chance to be consistent, but it's also very easy since it's targeted. You have good damage anyway, so you can carry yourself. You're tanky as well. You're a perfect mix of not relying solely on your team, crowd control, engage, and damage. Volibear also has a really good win rate at lower ranks as a jungler, probably because tanks that do damage are literally gold dust for climbing. Volibear's passive is a very big part because even early, you're able to win 1v1s, 2v2s if you get counter ganked, and you outlast the enemy, but you also build a full tank. Now, normally when you do that, like I said, Sejuani or something, the trade-off is that you're set up for your team, and just that. You have a little bit of damage, but nothing special, but the thing with Volibear is you can still kill things, and you can still 1v1 the enemy AD for a good portion of the game. Speaking of AD carries, Jinx is absolutely insane right now, even higher up, but earlier into the game, you can actually carry as an AD, which I think a lot of people struggle with at the moment. There are no insane mechanics needed, or you don't have to get stupidly close to anybody or take massive risks. You can stay with your rockets, you do AoE damage from very high range, and run around with the passive move speed. Your passive lets you kite properly without being an attack move god, which I think is so good anyway, and it lets you get more kills, so more gold. Runins and rockets also make farming a breeze, so that is why you're going to have a way higher CS number than in general, which people struggle with, but this is a really easy, quick fix. Ashley's a bit different because she's pretty straightforward, but the important part is that you can carry, or if you have a bad game, you can help your team do it and still win. This is another really important way of climbing quicker. You're winning games you'd otherwise lose, aka being more consistent. You just have to land a few clutch arrows, or your slows actually help more than you think. The new cooldown reduction build is better for this as well. Basically, you spam your W, you do pretty good damage. It's very easy, very straightforward, very high range. You poke them down, and then you kite everybody around. Let's take a look at our other side of the bot lane. So our supports are really key in lane phase for bot lane. Normally, they control what happens. It's pretty hard to beat a Brand, for example, if he's keeping you at below half health for pretty much the entire lane phase, and he can actually solo kill 80 carries. You don't even need your lane partner to be good at all. It obviously helps for sure, but if you get your passive off with Ignite as well, that is definitely going to be a kill. It's very hard to play against. It's a real struggle, and then with Liandry's and Rylai's, you'll actually be the mid lane carry for a good part of the game. So you win lane, and you win game, basically. Janna is a pretty similar deal at lower ranks because nobody can really deal with a constant W spam. The way to beat that is to fight her once it's on cooldown. That needs the enemy support to be proactive, so if you dodge the engage or they don't engage, then you bully the enemy AD, you grow a pretty big lead, and you snowball. If you think it's hard to come back in games normally, wait until a Janna is shielding and healing everybody as well in the background. You're already struggling, and then it's twice as hard to actually kill someone in the first place. The first top laner we have is also a very real win lane, win game type of champion. It's very hard to play against Yorick. It's frustrating as well, which normally means that you pressure mistakes. It might seem a bit obvious, but the more annoyed somebody gets, the worse they're going to play because you have the healing, the damage, the cage trap people, and you crush down towers. So winning lane gets you more. I think as well, normally for most people, they would win lane and maybe get a kill, but not always use it properly and actually win the game from it. Yorick is very easy to do both with. Win early and then win the game afterwards, which means you win way more games overall, and it's not that difficult. Garen's our other top laner for now that is a little bit different, where it's just very hard to mess him up. You have a simple trade combo, you Q, you run at them, you silence, you spin, and you run away. It actually encourages you to trade though and to bully, but if you don't do it well, it doesn't really matter because you have your passive to heal you back up. It's kind of like having training wheels on a bike, I guess, as you're playing him, because you can't really fall over. You're pretty tanky anyway, but with Sterix, you're going to do a lot of damage actually. So in general, you're pretty good against other bruisers, which are definitely the most popular picks at lower ranks. We're going to do another sweep now of every role again, so another couple of picks per one. So Fizz in the mid lane is really frustrating to play against at lower ranks because you get hit with his ultimate and it's basically a death sentence. On the other side of that as well, when you're playing Fizz, it means that it's very easy to know what to do with. You fling it out, you hope it hits, and then you go on someone if it does. Kind of like Vi, really, every time it's off cooldown, you want to look to use it, so it makes you actually be proactive and do stuff. It's very hard to lock Fizz down compared to other assassins. It's hard to fight him in 1v1 in, which makes him a nightmare for AD carry players, and honestly, you're just capable of snowboarding completely out of control. Our other mid laner is completely the opposite of that. Like, so Malzahar is pretty overpowered, but not very fun, and nobody really wants to play him. He is like one of the best ultimates in the game and some really good damage. In lane phase, you're playing to push basically, which is why it's kind of boring really. You can't actually lose your lane. Well, you could, but it's going to be quite difficult, especially with your passive shield blocking stuff. After your lane phase, which is pretty chill, you're just going to be flash ulting or just ulting people normally, catching them, locking them down. Silence will, well, silence, but do a lot of damage, especially after you have your Leandries and your Rylai's together. I don't think I can really do a lower ranked video, a lower elo video, without including everybody's favorite mummy, Amumu. Crowd control definitely wins games, and Amumu is just hard proof of that. His kit is not that amazing. You can get buttocks early, if that's even a word, but he has amazing mid-game and teamfight pressure, like good engage, good lockdown, and really good follow-up damage. The damage side might seem a little bit strange because people think that he's just about the crowd control, right? But once he has Abyssal Mask, Thornmail, or Leandries, and Leandries, I guess, he will start to kill things himself, even if his team doesn't do much to follow up. Another jungler as well that I don't think really gets enough attention is Nocturne. He's really good again at lower ranks. Now this one is more meta dependent. He comes in and out, but he does carry himself and he covers up a really big weakness that most players have. That weakness is just being in slightly the wrong place at the wrong time. Not quite getting to lane early enough to help out, or not quite skipping that ward or ganking properly. Nocturne will counter ganks. He's vaguely in the area to do so. Our ultimate through lane to not worry about pathing, and that is why he's so good for the first big chunk of the game and so good at lower ranks. This one will seem a little bit strange. Vayne is one of the hardest AD carries to master in the entire game, even for a very high ranked player, but at the same time, she is like Yasuo. Once you hit a certain point, a certain amount of items, you right click and you just win games. Her lane phase is obviously not that good at all, but if your support plays well or you get a few ganks, you'll skip that bad part and straight into the good stuff. Good stuff like she can outplay champions that are really annoying, she can duel people, she can 1v1 people, unlike most AD carries, and she is still one of the best late game even at lower ranks. Jhin is not really one that I normally class as good at lower ranks, but he does really well at the moment. And with this crit build nowadays at 75% and a bunch of AD at 3 items, so that's Infinity Edge, your Essence Reaver, and Rapid Fire, it makes him hit like a truck. The good thing is you don't have to kite amazingly well to play Jhin, since his attack speed is fixed and he's a really good mix of auto and ability damage. You've got that set up with your W and your ultimate so you can make more plays than other ADs, but your fourth shot is honestly such a big nudge to trade and to fight with. You can really plan your damage around it way easier. We've already mentioned Brand for our supports, and another one like that is Zyra, but she trades a bit of damage for more utility, and it's mostly just more poke and less burst until level 6. You can harass, you can bully, you can zone, and just be an absolute pain in the arse. And again, if you hit Leandries and Rylai's, you're going to carry the team's mid-game damage. There's actually a really good trick as well that I want to tell you about at lower ranks as well. If you sit a Baron for a bit, you put a bunch of seeds down with your passive and your W, you then use your Q and your ultimate, your plants, you can cheese Baron and swing the game super easy. Zilean is also kind of like Malzahar, where he's actually pretty good, but nobody really wants to play him. He does more damage than you think as well. It's not just about the revive. You can actually make a few plays in the lane phase with the stun. The poke is pretty good, the slow as well, so nobody can run away, and you can actually play pretty aggressively. He's always going to be good, no matter what happens, really. If you're behind, at least you're going to revive somebody and you stand a chance of turning it around, but if you're ahead, it's kind of lights out. Like, having to try and kill somebody really fed twice is an absolute nightmare. One of the most underrated lower rank picks, I think, is Urgot. He's basically unstoppable once he hits 3 items and your W becomes a toggle. You are so tanky. You have a lot of health and you have the bleed, which doesn't reduce damage, but it kind of like makes it harder to kill him at least. You have loads of healing with your Conqueror and Death Dance with your W active. That's insane. And you then have loads of AD. Urgot was changed a little while ago so that he could carry more, but he scales worse if you play him like a tank. People just won't expect the amount of damage that you output, but mid game is really your kingdom. That's where you carry. Late game is definitely all about Nasus though. He hard falls off at higher ranks, but he's almost too good not to mention for lower ranks because he scales so well. If you're not punished, if people don't bully you out of lane phase, they don't trade with you and deny you, which let's be honest, people don't really, then you're a ticking time bomb. The one thing I will say is that in general, building tank is a bit of a bait. You can get your Trinity Force, Visage, and Frozen Heart core, but then Bloodthirster, Spear of Shojin, Serix, and stuff, that is how you really carry yourself out of lower ranks with Nasus. So there we go. Those are 20 picks that are just much better at escaping silver and gold or below games with less games needed total. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching until the very end of the video, but for now, I will leave you with the robots.